Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Romeo and Juliet, and today we get to hear from Friar Lawrence in Act 3, Scene 3, where he's been hiding Romeo, because if you remember, Romeo killed Tybalt because Tybalt had killed Mercutio, but then Romeo ran away because he didn't want to stand there and be sentenced, but he was sentenced to be banished. And Juliet did not take this news very well. She would rather be dead than not with her murderer husband. And Romeo is not taking the news very well either. He was having a bit of a pity party in yesterday's monologue, and Friar Lawrence was like, well, I can see that you're not even really listening to me. And then there's a knock at the door, and it turns out that that knock is the nurse, the nurse decided that she was going to go find Romeo, figuring Romeo would be able to comfort Juliet and maybe prevent her from killing herself. So the nurse has come, and Juliet had given the nurse a ring to give to Romeo as like proof that she really was there on behalf of Juliet. So there's this knock at the door. They find out that it's the nurse, so it's fine that Romeo is like lying on the floor having a pity party there all by himself. And the nurse is like, where's Romeo? And Friar Lawrence is like, see that sad sack on the floor? And the nurse is like, yep, that's pretty much what Juliet is doing too. And Romeo's like, oh, it's my fault that she feels so bad, and I should kill myself because then it will, make everything better, because, that's the answer. And he picks up a dagger and goes as if he's going to stab himself, and Friar Lawrence says, hold thy desperate hand. Art thou a man? Thy form cries out thou art. Thy tears are womanish. Thy wild acts denote the unreasonable fury of a beast. Unseemly woman in a seeming man, an ill-beseeming beast in seeming both. Thou hast amazed me by my holy order. I thought thy disposition better tempered. Hast thou slain Tybalt? Wilt thou slay thyself, and slay thy lady that in thy life lives, by doing damned hate upon thyself? Why railest thou on thy birth, the heaven and earth, since birth and heaven and earth all three do meet in thee at once, which thou at once wouldst lose? Fie, fie, thou shamest thy shape, thy love, thy wit, which like a usurer abound'st in all, and usest none in that true use indeed, which should bedeck thy shape, thy love, thy wit. Thy noble shape is but a form of wax, digressing from the valor of a man. Thy dear love sworn, but hollow perjury, killing that love which thou hast vowed to cherish. Thy wit, that ornament to shape and love, misshapen in the conduct of them both, like powder in a skilless soldier's flask, is set afire by thine own ignorance, and now dismembered with thine own defense. What? Rouse thee, man, thy Juliet is alive, for whose dear sake thou wast but lately dead. There art thou happy. Tybalt would kill thee, but thou'st loosed Tybalt. There art thou happy. The law that threatened death became thy friend, and turned it to exile. There art thou happy. A pack or blessing light upon thy back, happiness courts thee in her best array. But like a misshapen and sullen wench, thou puttest up thy fortune and thy love. Take heed, for such die miserable. Go, get thee to thy love, as was decreed. Ascend her chamber hence, and comfort her. But look thou stay not till the watch be set, for then thou canst not pass to Mantua, where you shalt live till we can find a time to blaze your marriage, reconcile your friends, beg pardon of thy prince, and call thee back with 200,000 times more joy than thou wentst forth in lamentation. Go before, nurse, commend me to thy lady, and bid her hasten all the house to bed, which heavy sorrow makes them apt unto. Romeo is coming. So this is Friar Lawrence once again showing us that he's the smartest person in the play. First of all, he's got to go like the tough love route and tell Romeo how stupid it is to try to fix this situation by committing suicide. He's like, you have all of these wonderful things about you. You have your physicality, you have your love for Juliet, you have your intelligence, and you are not using any of them. You are ignoring them and killing all of those things by saying that you're gonna kill yourself. Like, what is this? You're smarter than this, you're better than this, don't do that. And then he turns it to all of the things that Romeo has going for him right now. Like, Juliet is still alive. He was able to save his own life because if he hadn't killed Tybalt, Tybalt would have killed him. And he just got banished. He's not being executed. He just got banished. So Friar Lawrence is like, all of these things are potential good things that you need to recognize, but you're just sitting there having a little pity party by yourself, and that's not doing anybody any good. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Juliet, like you originally said you were going to. You're going to comfort her, but you have to be out before the break of day when all the guards set up camp, because otherwise Romeo won't be able to get out of Verona and get to Mantua. Romeo's supposed to go to Mantua and just hang out there for a little while. And Friar Lawrence has a plan to eventually be able to get him back home and reunite him with his friends, get him back to Verona, get a pardon from the prince, all of that kind of stuff. So it's Friar Lawrence sort of once again saying to Romeo, like, slow down, breathe. This isn't as tragic as you thought it was. If you just take your time and think about things and are smart about things, it'll all work out just fine. And the nurse recognizes that. And after this monologue, she's like, I could listen to you talk all day. It's so nice to hear somebody talking who has intelligent things to say. And Romeo's like, okay, I'll go. And the nurse gives Romeo a ring, the ring that Juliet had given her, so that he can take it back to Juliet and show that like everything was fine. And Friar Lawrence is like, okay, but make sure that you're gone from Juliet's place before the crack of dawn, before the guard switches. And I'm going to send somebody to you every few days in Mantua to fill you in on everything that's going on. And Romeo's like, okay, cool, we can go with this plan. And that's the end of Act 3, Scene 3. So we still have a ways to go in this one, and we will dig into it further and see how well the long-distance relationship goes. We'll get into that tomorrow. I'll see you then.